So, new beginnings, new beginnings. This is the last official Sunday of New Beginnings Month, but as we've already shared a little bit, it is never the end of new beginnings, right? But here's one truth. So, if you want your life to get better, if you want your life to get better, it does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. Actually, that's one of my favorite quotes. And here's, when we want to change our life, we know that we have to start in mind, right? That's where change starts first. So if you want your life to get better, okay, so I was not paying attention to the cue that said, move your mic over. Oh, my earring too? Really? Oh, and I don't even have big earrings right now. It just keeps hitting the mic. All right, so we are learning as we go. New beginnings. Do not wear earrings if you're wearing a mic. So for all of you ladies that are going to be coming up here and speaking, do not wear earrings. That goes for men too. And trans, we are totally inclusive. All right, where was I? Yes. So life does not get better by chance, it gets better by change. And change begins in mind. You have to make a decision to change your life first. Now, a lot of you know I've been wanting to buy a house for as long as I've lived in California. And we moved here 17 years ago. We came out here from New York, and we weren't sure how long we were going to be here. We'd sold our house in New Jersey. We came out here. We're like, okay, let's give it a couple of years. We'll see how it goes. So, during that period of time, I wasn't thinking about buying a house, just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And, over the last God knows how many years, there's been a number of things. Like, we all go through things, went through times of not having a lot of money, not having a job, trying to figure out what we wanted to do with our lives. And, the money that I had for the down payment of a house, got spent. It got used up. And, over this past year, as we've all been through a very interesting year, my business is 100% online. And we started to think, what? Maybe we should start exploring, looking someplace else. And made the decision that, what? I think this is the time. I think we can finally do this. And, we'd looked a lot of places. We'd been in Northern California. We'd gone up to Oregon. We went all the way out to Asheville and Charlotte. But I hadn't really found it yet, right? But I was ready. I was ready for a change. I was ready for my life to be better. So we finally said, okay, we'll make the decision. We're going to go spend a month in Wilmington, where we had visited. Now, my daughter had already decided to make her life better. She'd moved out to Atlanta to be with her boyfriend. So we're like, okay, well, if she can do it, we can do it. So I'm going to take you on a journey of what change can look like. And for those of you that don't know what I do, but I do a lot of corporate trainings. I have a business called Heart-Centered Programs. And this last few months, every session that I've done online for a company has been transition back to the workplace, re-entry anxiety, talking about all of the things that go on within us when, with change. So the first thing I want you to do is take a moment and close your eyes. And if you're online, you can do that as well. And I want you to visualize yourself standing in front of the door to your dreams. There's that door, right? And you've been staring at it for a really long time, but it's locked. And you cannot figure out the combination, no matter how hard you try. And you've been staring at this door for a really long time. Right? You've tried everything you can think of, and you just can't figure out the combination. All right, everybody have a good visual? All right, go ahead, you can open your eyes. So that's how I felt. That's how I felt. I'd been staring at this dream of my house for so many years, and I couldn't figure out how was I going to get into it. I was told, you don't earn enough money, you're self-employed, you're not going to be qualified. So I was like, okay, there's got to be a different way. So it was time to take our life in a new direction. Jeremy Kent said, never underestimate the power you have to take your life in a new direction. So we got on Airbnb, or actually I got on Airbnb. How many of you ever used Airbnb? Yeah, most of us have. Got on Airbnb, found a place that was just outside of Wilmington. It was like the only place I could find that had a full 3 weeks, because it was going to be a working trip, because I was going to be working while I was there doing my sessions online while we investigated the area. So we decided obviously to drive from LA all the way to North Carolina. I'm just going to hold it here. How's that? So we decided to pack the car, and we had 2 or 3 laptops and a lot of different equipment. And so we're driving out there. I'm telling you my story here. So we're driving out to Wilmington, and we'd gone through. It was almost like you could tell, like midway through the country, it stops being hot and dry, and it starts becoming thick and humid and wet. And it rained a lot on our journey there. So, as you're following the navigations, and you've never been where you're going, you have no idea what to expect. So as we're getting closer and closer, and we're about staying 30 minutes outside of Wilmington, I knew it was going to be kind of country-like. It was close to a beach, which I was excited about. But what I had no idea until we turned down this dirt road, and all of a sudden there's no houses anymore. It's just trailers. And, okay, first of all, nothing against trailers. If you've ever grown up in one, lived in one, live in one now, want to live in one, I fully embrace them. But at the time, I was like, well, wait a second. This doesn't match what I saw online. First of all, there was no pictures of the outside. The first thing we see is it says, you have arrived at your destination, is a trailer that looked like it had regurgitated itself. It was everything that was probably on the inside of this trailer was now on the outside, on the front lawn. Broken down furniture, insides of walls, and garbage just piled high. He looks at me and he was like, did you look at this online? And I'm thinking, this can't possibly be what I had just spent a lot of money to stay for 3 weeks. And, then we look over, just a little bit over to the left, and we see the little sign that says, Sweet Retreat. You can't hear me. Is that better? Thank you. And so it is. There, new beginnings again. All right. That's what I love about life, is it doesn't always go as you expect, as you planned. So we looked. Yes, Sweet Retreat, thank you. Just remind me where I was in my story. Sweet Retreat. So right over immediately next to this trailer was the Sweet Retreat. And it did look kind of sweet. So we're like, all right, let's just trust. We go before we go inside, we walk right into a giant spider web. Giant spider web. There was a little steps about this much that go up to the porch. Yeah, there we go. You're probably wondering, why did she name the talk Spiders, Lizards, and Frogs? Oh, my. So getting off the spider web, going up to the little porch, finding, where the door, they put the key in there, and we couldn't get it open. It took us, I think, 4 attempts to get the key. I was like, oh, I'm understanding this metaphor even more so now. We have to have the combination to be able to get into the door. So we finally got into the door, and luckily, it looked like the pictures. It was actually really cute, a 2-bedroom. They had it decorated like a beach motif, and it was really, really nice inside. And, we set everything up because I was going to be working. The next day, I had my busiest day ever in my business, and I was going to be online 6 hours nonstop, back to back, back to back, back to back. So immediately, I needed to get the computer connected, get ready to go, but we couldn't connect to the internet. We had the code, but it wasn't working. I'm like, okay, there's another metaphor. Have the code, it's not working. And finally, after multiple attempts, we figured out, okay, well, we could use the phone to connect to the internet, and we were ready to go. All right, so our journey's beginning. However, the next week, I was so busy, and it rained almost every day. And each attempt, we had to go out and check out the area. It didn't happen. It didn't work. And, instead of being able to really enjoy where we were going and see if this was going to be the place we wanted to be, I just kept reverting back and back and back into my little comfort zone. And I was like, I just want to go home. I felt like Dorothy. I just want to go home. How many of you ever felt that way? You go to try to explore a new place, and you're all excited about it, and yet all you can see is what's wrong with it. What's wrong with it? And meanwhile, I'm feeling like I just want to go home, and my husband was getting super excited about the idea of maybe we could get a trailer. Maybe we could fix up a trailer. Forget about going to buy a house. Let's just get a trailer. Because we had gone for a walk one of the nights, and we actually meandered through the neighborhood, and we passed a lot of trailers that were fixed up, and they were really cute. What he didn't know, as I burst into tears as he's showing me and talking to me about this idea, was that growing up, that was one of my worst case fears, was that I was going to end up in a trailer one day. And I don't know where that came from. I really don't know where it came from, but it tapped into that I'm never going to realize my dreams. And I don't know how many of you watched the movie Up? Yeah. A lot of people love that movie. I don't. For me, that movie, I just could think about this poor woman who was saving and saving and saving for her dream. And there was always something that she'd have to tap into the jar, and she never got to realize her dream. So that's how I felt. I'm like, oh my God, that's going to be me. I'm never going to realize this dream of mine. And, it was one of those, okay, I got to get past this. Where is my faith? Where is my faith? Ernest Holmes said, when prayer removes doubt and enters into the field of mental certainty, then it becomes faith. And I was like, all right. So I was like, all right, have faith. As a matter of fact, my husband went out while we were there. I think it was after the first week, after my meltdown, and he got me this little placard that said, believe. Believe. And I was like, all right, and I hung it from the lamp right by where I was working. So every day, believe, believe, believe. And wouldn't luck have it, the last day, or the last weekend that we were in Wilmington, we went to see a house, and we were like, uh-oh, I think this could be it. This could be the house. So recognizing that I may have found the home that I wanted to live in, instead of being excited, I moved into the first stage of change. Which, if anybody knows the 4 stages of change, the first one is denial and avoidance. It's like, oh my God, this isn't happening. Oh no, this isn't happening. Right? It's like somebody's handing you the combination now to that door, and you're like, no, I don't know if I want it. Right? I don't know if I want it. Recognizing you've been in the place of discontent for so long that it felt good. You've been in your comfort zone for so long, it's like, I don't know if I want to step out of it. So back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, trying to decide, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Isn't this what we wanted? And yet when you're faced with what you want and it becomes a reality, all of a sudden you start to retreat back. And you're so focused on the things that you're going to lose. I had forgotten how much I hated traffic. Instead, I was focused on all of the people that I was going to have to say goodbye to. My neighborhood, my community, the beautiful dry weather, even though it hasn't been so dry the last couple of days. Focused on the losses instead of focusing on the things that you're going to gain. And so, as Margaret said in her song, it takes more than faith and hope sometimes. It takes courage to walk through that door. And so I was like, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to put the offer in. So we put the offer in, and that was the day that we were packing up to drive back to California. So putting trust and faith in this process, in this procedure. And it's so easy to allow your fears and your doubts, because stage 2 of change is resistance. And all the fear that you have, all the doubt that you have is going to come back, right? If you are not clear in mind about what it is that you want, right, it's going to hold you back. It's almost like, again, I want you to close your eyes, right? So you're in front of that door, that you have the combination, you've put it in, and you start to walk through, and then you stop. You just stop. Because you're so afraid of what if? What if it isn't what I want it to be? What if I'm making a mistake? What if it's not everything I thought it was going to be? What if it isn't better? And you're stuck there, right? All right. Now, I want you to go ahead and take one step in. One step in. And what you're recognizing is that there's actually another door, a little bit further, that you didn't see before. And you recognize the door you just came through was the door of your limitations. And you have to close that door. You have to acknowledge an ending to have a new beginning. So you guys can open your eyes again. All right, so here we are, right? The door that I thought was the dreams, that I finally got the key, that I was so afraid to walk through, finally crossed over and recognized I'm not quite there yet. I have to let go of the past. Right? So Jonathan Huey said, celebrate endings, for they precede new beginnings. So we have to celebrate things that have ended. We have to acknowledge what we're closing the door on. And the truth is, we celebrate endings every day, right? The end of a day to a new day, right? We celebrate weekends, right? This is a weekend right now. We celebrate being, letting go of being single when we get married with those bachelorette parties or bachelor parties. Right? We could celebrate the end of a marriage with a divorce and a conscious uncoupling. We celebrate the end of school years with graduations. We celebrate New Year's, right? The end of one year to a new year. So we're always celebrating endings. The key is, what about those endings that are so hard to let go of? Right? My son's going through that right now with letting go of a relationship. Or if somebody is passed, or things didn't go the way we wanted to. Right? We're kind of still holding on to the pain. So instead, what we can do is honor the strength that we achieve through going through those experiences. Right? Letting go of colon cancer and how we grew through all of that. Ooh, makes me feel so many things that we've all been through that are still, they're still there. They have their grip on us. Like we want to do what is the flower, the weed, the dandelions, right? Just let it blow away. That song is so perfect, right? Just let them blow away. But what we can bring forward through that vestibule as we continue to walk through to the door that really is the new beginning is to bring forward the memories, the positive memories, bring forward the lessons, bring forward the learnings. Because we can never truly leave the past in the past because it's always here with us. But we get to decide what we do want to bring forward. So leave the things that didn't serve us in the past, but bring forward what we learned from them. And celebrate the endings. And so in recognizing all of that, we move from stage 2, the resistance, to stage 3, which is exploration. And in exploration, we are focused more on what we're going to gain than what we're going to lose. So I started to think about, okay, well, what am I going to gain by moving? Well, I'm going to gain a house after living in an apartment for 17 years. I'm going to gain more space, which I was excited about. Right? I'm going to gain beaches being 20 minutes from my house. I'm going to gain new friends, hopefully a new spiritual center, or start GTC North Carolina. You never know. Right? Focusing on the things that I could look forward to versus the things that I was missing. And I hadn't even moved yet, and I was so focused on all the things I was going to miss. So stage 3, exploration, moving through the vestibule to get to the door that you do want to open. And in doing that, right, so this is all happening, right, in the last couple of weeks, these last few weeks. And at this point, we were in Tallahassee at my sister's because we left Wilmington. After we put the offer in, the offer got accepted, which was like, whoa, right? We could start to celebrate. And the recognition as well, like, oh, God, now we have to drive all the way back to California to do really the hard work. And that's another thing that comes up. So often we don't go after our dreams because it's going to take work. I got to do stuff. I got to do a lot of stuff to have what I want. It's so much easier just to stay put and make do. And again, that's not living to our highest and our best and our fullest. So in driving back, I have a little bit more of a story to tell. As driving back, we were, talking about all the things we need to do, pages and pages of all the things we had to do in California, all the things we were going to need to do in the new house to make it, our own. And what we weren't doing was paying attention to the gas gauge. And we had had the conversation about that because we had had a couple of close calls of running out of gas. And we were like, okay, we're never going to let the car go below 2 bars, and we're going to, anytime we stopped to use the facilities, which I had to do a lot, we'd make sure to fill up, so we'd always have a full tank. But for whatever reason, this particular drive, we were so engaged in conversation, we stopped paying attention to the gas gauge. And we were in the middle of nowhere, West Texas. And when I say nowhere, there was nothing for 90 miles. When the gas gauge was flashing 33 miles, after it stops flashing the number of miles you have left in your tank, we knew we were in trouble. And it was like, we recognized, we're going to run out of gas in the middle of nowhere. What are we going to do? Well, we had to pull over the side of the road. And talk about doing a lot of treatment. We did a lot of treatment. And, we called AAA. How many of you have AAA? Right. That's like having God in your pocket, right? Right? We know who we are. We remember who we are, but I still couldn't figure out how to put gas in the tank without having a gas station. So in sitting, I'm going to kind of go a little bit quicker through my story, but in sitting on the side of the road for almost 3 hours, waiting for someone to find us, because the AAA guy couldn't even find us on the map. It was not pulling up. The bars were so little that it wasn't even pulling out where we were. And it's so easy to get back pulled into fear, doubt, uncertainty. Right? It takes strength and courage just to know the truth. And as we're waiting, and again, it's dark, we're in the middle of nowhere, there's an occasional truck that would go by and shake the car, right, with the wind. Out of the corner of my eye, I see a tiny little light. And as it got closer and closer, I knew it wasn't another car. It was a firefly. And a lone firefly in the middle of nowhere. And I thought, well, where there's light, there's hope. And at that point, I was like, all right, well, whether they come or don't come, what's the worst that could happen? I've slept in my car the night before. which is, we travel sometimes sleeping in the car. There was plenty of food in the car, so what's the worst that could happen, right? I'm not going to starve. I'm going to be able to sleep, and we're going to be fine, which we were. Eventually, they picked us up, took us almost 3 hours by the time we got back to where we needed to be. But when you think about how easy it is to get derailed in mind, constantly have to remind yourself what it is that you want, knowing that you do have the power to move yourself forward. You do have the power to change. Never allow waiting to become a habit. Live your dreams. Take risks. Life is happening now. That is the reality. It is always happening. There is always new beginnings. We get to decide. We get to live the life that we want to live. And everyone has that opportunity. And so in recognizing that truth, right, arriving at stage 4, which is acceptance, the door opens. And I want everybody to close your eyes one more time. Hopefully you're doing this with us as well online from wherever you are in the world, right? The door opened. And you recognize that you're actually standing in this field of pure potentiality. Like everything and anything that you want not only is there, but it's always been there. And that moving through that transition, going through all of that, right, was the learning, was the growth, but your dream was always right there, right in front of you. Right? As they say in The Wizard of Oz, all you had to do was, snap your feet together, click your feet together. So I want everybody to open your eyes. And I want you to just tap into what is the dream that you have been holding yourself back from. You have the key, you have the combination. The door is already open, right here and right now. Does everybody see it? Everybody feel it? It is yours, and it is now. Namaste.